First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this important panel on a very, very important question which is facing not only the working class of India, but it is the question which is facing the workers all over the world. The situation in COVID-19 and how we are trying to cope up and safeguard the rights of workers. Speaking from AITUC, we have entered into centenary. AITUC was founded in 1920 during freedom movement. So a long history at the world level of the labor movement to achieve their rights, including the right to 8 hours, fixed 8 hours, along with many other rights. But Indian working class history begins even much before that, when the sacrifice came for May Day celebration in Chicago. But if we look at our country, the first strike registered from the workers is in 1820s, and whole of 19th century we have registered hundreds of strikes in India, even though the unions started getting formed in the late part of 19th century. Then in the 20th century, the unionization began more vigorously. And by the time from 1900 to 1920, when AITUC was born, several of the unions in various sectors had been formed. And there again, hundreds of strikes have been registered in the history of labor movement. It is in this background that the working class of our country evolved from historical point of view, being a very inspiring source for the political movement, as well as being influenced by the freedom movement of our country. So it was vice versa, working class being influenced from the freedom movement, and the working class movement giving an impetus of unionizing, fighting, strikes, agitations, mobilization. So that is how the working class of our country has traveled these long years. In 1920, after formation of AITUC, in which unions from all sectors all over India, whosoever were unionized, they were called to Bombay, and the founder president was Lala Lajpat Rai. And then later on, even Pandit Nehru and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and B.V. Giri, even they presided over various sessions. As presidents, they presided over the sessions of AITUC. So one can understand that the working class achieved those heights where it was a synonym to fight for our national freedom movement as well as to fight for our own rights. So Indian working class always looked at fighting for better situation for a whole lot of people of this country, for betterment of their lives also. So it was vice versa. So trade union movement in the country was never in contravention with the national interest, or in contravention post-independent India to the issue of national development. Rather, winning our rights even during British period, right to unionize as a legal right in 1926 when we got the Trade Union Act, or even before that Compensation Act in 1923, or 1861 we had Factories Act, which later on got amended after several of the interventions of the trade unions. It was amended. So several laws were achieved even during British period. There is credit to the Indian trade unions that in 1921 AITUC was the first organization in India which demanded for complete independence to be adopted as a slogan for India's freedom movement. Then it was the Indian trade union movement, means AITUC was the first to say that do not try to frame rules, India having some sort of a self-rule, but the British keeps ruling us as the main master. The AITUC had said that no, you have your own constituent assembly. Once you have adopted in 1929 a complete independence slogan, and we should proceed with that we will achieve independence of the country and we should have our own constituent assembly. Again, it goes to the credit of the working class of India that it was AITUC which submitted a long charter of demand to the political parties and also to the Constituent Assembly, where they talked about several rights, including right to dissent, opinion, right to freedom of expression, not only right to unions, it was there, right to equal pay for equal work, it was there, right to maternity benefit, it was there, right to children going to school and not at the workplace, it was there, right to democracy, the issue was raised, it was there. All those things were raised during that period by the working class of this country, who wanted to see what kind of constitution we want to see in free India. Then in post-independent India, several of the rights were achieved through struggles and also through the supporters of the working class movement inside the parliament, who fought inside the parliament, and on streets the workers fought, and we got several legislations from our parliament, then also from state governments. But what we have found is that during COVID-19 period, all that history of the trade union movement is supposed to be wound up. It has to be rolled back. This is how the government is behaving. And I won't say it is so sudden that it is only in COVID-19. What I want to make a point is that since this regime came in 2014, we think they have contempt towards labor, and it got exposed during this whole process of COVID-19 and the lockdown, the way it was handled, how the working class suffered, especially those who go to other states or within their state to other districts, they go for work. And their number is not small. They are almost 200 million. Out of them, about 100 million are those who go to other states. 100 million are those who go within their state to different places after leaving their house. How the behavior was done with them, that contempt of this present regime towards working class is very clear. So from 2014 itself, we started facing problems as far as laws of the labor laws are concerned, laws which concern the labor movement. We started seeing the attitude of this government when they used Vasundhara Raje government to change 5 labor laws and then asking other state governments to fall in line and to change the labor laws as per Rajasthan Vasundhara Raje government had done. And several governments took that initiative. Based on that also, we know we have been fighting that. Then suddenly the government started pushing codification process, so 44 laws to be brought into 4 codes. And in every process we found tripartism, bipartism, everything was being undermined. International labor standards were being undermined. International commitments were being undermined. So this started even before COVID-19. Indian Labour Conference was held in 2015 and now we are in 2020 and Labour Conference has not happened in the country. Only with our lots of protest in 2018 they decided, but that also was taken back by saying Prime Minister is not free. So tripartism was under attack, bipartism was under attack, labour laws were under attack. But what happened in COVID-19? Which exposed the government on all fronts. It has exposed the government on all fronts. And it has also exposed the precarious condition in which our working masses are. Vast majority of unorganized sector worker has suffered heavily. I'm not saying our job-related workers have not suffered. They have also suffered immensely. Many of them now are finding their children leaving the schools where they were studying because they don't have protected wage now. Even jobs are going, joblessness is growing. Even on this job question also, I should say it is not something which is done because of COVID-19. It was happening since 2016 from demonetization period. So demonetization resulted into job losses and MSMEs suffering, trade suffering, and the workers suffering. With the GST, the way it was implemented, it further worsened the situation. By the time we entered into 2019 elections, Lok Sabha election, unemployment rate was rising in unprecedented manner. In last 40 years, this has not happened. The gaps between rich and poor was rising, and then in 2019 elections, the fact came that 80 years ago, what was the gap between a richest person and the poorest person? India has gone back to that. Then also during that period, we knew that the economy is in bad shape. After the elections were over, the economy was suffering. There was a recession. Sector after sector, they were going down. They were not getting orders, and retrenchment started happening. Job losses started happening. So in this background, when COVID-19 came, the government, instead of correcting itself, went on its agenda. And on the one hand side, they are very reckless. This is exposed further badly. They are reckless when demonetization was announced. Even governor of RBI or the finance minister or the cabinet were not consulted. So किसी के मन में आया, and then at 8 o'clock in the night आपने थोप दिया, and 84 currency becomes a कागज का टुकड़ा, plain sheet बन गया वो पेपर का. This is how it happened. And in this COVID situation also, they knew it from December. In January, it was declared as health emergency. First case entered India, or maybe might have entered before, but got exposed when a student from Wuhan in Kerala found COVID positive. And then in February, the cases were coming. The government failed in following all norms which WHO had told, or even our own epidemiologists were telling. All those things were not taken into consideration. Then the elections were going on in Delhi, environment was being vitiated, and then we find very targeted riots happened in Delhi, and then there were Trump Namaste program going on, and government was busy with that. So many people came from abroad, quarantine was not done, testing was not being done, all that was going on. Government of India wasted 4 months. When in parliament it was raised, stop the parliament, now the cases have started increasing. Then they were not listened to. Some people came with their mask in the parliament in middle of March. They were told by Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, "Aap bahar jaiye, mask bahar utar ke aaye." This was the seriousness of this government about this epidemic. And then they do Janta curfew, they do Tali, Thali, Dhali, then later on Diya, etc. Everything was done, all that drama. But they never gave even 6-7 days for our people to move back to their homes. Neither students, nor the workers, nor the pilgrims, nor the ordinary citizens who had gone for their personal visits and all. And this lockdown comes suddenly, क्योंकि नेताजी के यहाँ घुस गया और रात को बोल दिया, 4 घंटे का notice दिया. And after that, the whole story is known to everybody what all happened. I'm not going into it. But recklessness. Now the opening up of lockdown, again recklessness, and creating anarchy, and then throwing the responsibility on everybody else. State governments were not consulted, political parties were not consulted, working class was going to suffer, lockdown going to happen, industry was to close, everybody's job was to go, trade unions were not consulted, neither other mass movements or organizations consulted. One man show it began, and India's whole thing got locked down. And now we are in a crisis. And such a non-serious thing, 18 दिन में महाभारत जीत या 21 दिन में इससे जीतेंगे. And all kinds of myths were, superstitions were allowed to function. People were never trained and told what is to be done in this endemic. Neither the government prepared our health system, nor it prepared for whatever was required for our frontline fighters. All that we have seen what happened. But what happened after that? They came with some 5 days so-called package announcements. Earlier announcement of 15,000 crores for this health sector was very little, I should say. It was not sufficient. You needed between 1.5 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore to really look at the equipments needed for frontline fighters, plus health system to be revamped in a way that we could handle this situation. But all that was not done. It continues to be only 15,000 crore. It was there at that time when a few hundred cases were there. It continues to be that when we have crossed much more number than 50,000, 1 lakh nearing, crossing 1 lakh now, we might reach even 1 crore. But nothing addition in that came. And that for 20 lakh crore of thing, in the real sense is only 1 to 1.5 lakh crore only as the real investment if one talks of package. So in that, when we wanted all the payment as promises made, and as the Home Ministry also issued orders that workers should be paid for lockdown, instead of implementing decision of the Labour Ministry or the Home Ministry, the order, they withdrew in Supreme Court. So the attitude is very clear. What was their attitude? Similarly, they said no retrenchment, no jobs will go. But the retrenchments are happening and did happen. They said rents will not have to be paid. But now every day these stories are coming how they were denied to stay until they pay rent, and the government did not come for. We said about 40 crore people need 7,500 rupees per month at least for 6 months. Government should come out, raise a demand, and see to it their hunger can be addressed. But it was not done. We said make PDS system as universal so that nobody dies hungry. Remember in 1890 to 97, people died and there was no dearth of grains during British period. We died during Bengal famine. There was no dearth of grains in India. But now also the government said bumper crop is there, but the people are dying of hunger. That situation has erupted. So job losses during COVID-19, and then whole situation of hunger is looming on the face. All those problems happened. So they addressed 4L. 4L is labor, to beat the labor. Labor laws under attack. 1,000 days UP government, 38 labor laws they suspend. Then Gujarat wants to suspend for 1,200 days. Madhya Pradesh government again several laws for 1,000 days. Other panelists will be more light. That's why I'm just touching these issues. 3 states openly came. We know Goa and Karnataka has prepared that kind of ordinance, but they have not brought to the fore. 8 to 12 hours international commitment was simply to be washed away. 10 state governments came out with their orders that they will make from 8 to 12 hours. Only Karnataka government and Rajasthan government have taken back. Others are still there intact. So the labor law changes was their agenda. To beat the labor was their agenda. So COVID-19 is being used as a cover so that they think no opposition will happen. They can go ahead. Similarly, L for land. Now, all the policies which they have declared for rural India will be actually leading to corporatization of land, and it will lead to the finishing of 85% of the people who are in the farming sector, finishing them off. This is how they proceed. They talked of liquidity, and we already know what they are doing in liquidity. They will be creating situation where corporate houses will further benefit. It's not going to benefit as far as economy in that form is concerned, or the working people of this country. Law, they said, so they are lawless people. They are talking of law. They are using law only to silence the voices of opposition, silence the voices of movement, silence the voices of those who politically opposed, culturally opposed this government, and those who were defenders of constitution, and those who were fighting against amendment into Citizenship Act. All excuses are being made, and some old cases being picked up, and some concocted FIRs, and then trying to push them into jail. So the government is nakedly come forward. They thought we will keep mum. We did not keep mum. We continuously were confronting Prime Minister, confronting Labour Ministry. We came on the streets. We observed our May Day. Independently, all trade unions took up their campaign program. On 22nd May, we jointly came and organized a nationwide protest. On 3rd July, again, we are going in a protest all over India, and this time even on the streets. And then on 1st June, our power sector unions observed all over India the protest day on the government policy of amending into electricity bill and privatization of power sector. Then 10th and 11th June, our coal unions, 2 days agitation they had because the government is saying commercialization of mining, 41 mines to be commercialized, and Prime Minister saying we will earn 20,000 crores of rupees. I am really surprised selling silver and gold of your house and getting very happy that we are going to earn this money. It is not earning, it is selling your own natural resources. So that is happened 2 days the campaign, but Prime Minister instead of listening to that said, I myself will come to auction. So 18 June he decided to announce auction of our coal mines. That was the day unions chose to give a strike notice. So unions have given a strike notice for 2nd and 3rd and 4th July. Then they started their 100% FDI in various sectors. So in defense sector, they made it from 49% to 74%. So our defense unions raised their protest. And not only that, they have conducted a ballot on strike. 99% workforce has said, yes, we should go on strike. So maybe in middle of July, they will go on strike. Our ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers, midday meal workers are planning for strike in the 3rd week of July. So what we are seeing is that today I read the news how these Bangalore women are grudging that we got passes for our buses. We want to go for work, but there is no transportation. Workers are walking for miles to go. Workers are not having transportation. Even despite those who got offer, 50% or 30% of the workers who got offer, even they are finding difficult to reach over there. So all those problems are there in the question answer. I will be able to add some more things because I should not overshoot my time. I have already taken more time. I would like to just, this part of a discussion, I would like to say that the government has challenged the trade unions and the trade unions are challenging the government. We are not lying low. We are organizing and there is no way that they can stop us. We will fight back this government because they are nakedly pursuing their agenda and fully nobody is becoming poor as far as corporate sectors are concerned. Ambani has just now achieved, he is among 11 richest persons in this COVID period. He has 1,68,000 crores of rupees of his loan he has settled during this period. He has done some saudabaji with Facebook also and he has gained some contracts in gas also. All these people are earning huge even in this period. Amazon or Facebook, all these people are also earning huge. It's not that the corporates in the world and the corporates in India are not earning. They are earning, they are not in difficulty. Working class and the working masses are in difficulty. But we are not keeping it in a way that we will be sitting quietly and seeing the attacks. We are preparing ourselves. We will fight it back. And that is how we are trying to. And many places the government is being pushed back, even this ordinance. We went to ILO, we complained there. Then the ILO Director General wrote to Prime Minister of India. And then the question was raised, how you can run away from international commitments. Then we wrote second letter to ILO. We have sent some documents how central government itself is initiating and forcing the state governments to raise hours from 8 to 12 or ask for fixed term employment to be immediately implemented in your state. So at every level we will fight back. On streets we will fight and mobilize our people, and internationally wherever we can we are going to raise our voice. That is definitely having some impact. Impact is our masses feeling confident they will fight. Impact is that the government could be halted to some extent after international intervention. So I end it here, I stop it here.